Hi, my name's Rich Fatbloke Adams. You join me here on my syndicate water where I've done a short overnight session. The weather's been really warm of late and the idea is that hopefully the fish will feed throughout the night. On my last session I caught 3 fish, so that was really good. Unfortunately on this session things haven't quite gone to plan. I've picked a swim where I saw some fish yesterday afternoon. I've got 3 spots that I'm confident in. I've caught fish from those spots before. I'm happy with my presentation, but unfortunately nothing's happened just yet. The conditions look good. It's quite overcast at the moment. There's a nice warm southerly wind blowing right up into the swim I'm fishing, so there's still a chance of a bite. What I thought I'd do while I'm waiting is just run you through the rig that I use for most of my fishing. As a lot of you are already aware, I keep things really simple when it comes to time rigs. There's very few components needed to tie the rig that I use. It's very simple, but it's very effective. I've caught a lot of fish on this over the years. There really are only sort of 3 main components to the rig. The first of these is the Gardner Subterfuge Super Soft. That's in 15-pound breaking strain. That's like a fluorocarbon. It's not overly stiff, it's sort of a medium stiffness, I would say. Fluorocarbon hook link. Another thing that you're probably aware of is I'm a fan of big baits, so you need a decent hook, and I like to match the hook size to the bait size. So because I'm using 20mm purple plum boilies from Mistral, I'll be matching that with a size 4 Gardner mugger hook. As I say, I think it's important to match the hook size to the size of the bait. Okay, to tie the rig, I simply start by tying a very small loop into the end of the subterfuge. Pull that tight with the baiting needle. I then cut away the excess hook link material, which, if you can see that, leaves you with the loop. This is obviously going to make the hair, and the loop is where we'll mount the 20mm purple plum boilie. Once the boil is threading onto the loop and the hair, take a small boilie stop, through the loop, just pull the boilie tight. So there's your boilie mounted onto the end of the subterfuge. I then strip off from the spool roughly about 15 inches of material. Now, I mentioned rig tube earlier. The next thing that I do is cut a very small piece of rig tube, probably about 2 to 3mm long. It's so small I don't think you'll see that. I then thread that onto the hook link material. You can see that there now. Now what this does, when I take the hook, I put the point of the hook through the rig tubing like so, and slide the tube in onto the shank of the hook. I suppose that's sort of halfway between the eye of the hook and the point of the hook. Taking the end of the hook link material, I pull that through the tubing until I'm happy with the length of the hair. Usually for me, I have the top of the bait about 10mm below the shank of the hook. I then thread the end of the material through the eye of the hook, and then it's just a simple knotless knot. Just whipping it down the eye of the hook, probably about 10 times for me, and then back on itself 2 or 3 turns before threading the hook link material back through the eye and pulling everything tight. Now you'll see there what that does, because of the nature of the material, the hook link material, it creates a very aggressive turn in the hook, and I find that this is really effective when it comes to hook holds. There's no need for any shrink tubing. Because of the nature of the hook link material and the slight curve in the mugger hooks, it creates its own natural curve. You can see there the silicone also helps, the small piece of rig tubing, sorry, also helps in just kicking the bait down at an angle, and you'll find that that'll give you pretty much perfect hook holds every time. It's certainly accounted for a lot of fish for me over the years. The final thing that I do is tie a figure of 8 knot in the end of the hook link material, which creates a loop. Just give that a wet, and if you look closer you'll see, as that pulls tightly, you'll see the figure of 8 forming. It's a really good knot for these type of hook links. I then pull everything tight, just make sure that all those knots are nice and strong. Like so. And there you have it. That's the final rig. Just snip that tag end off where I've tied the loop, and that obviously can be attached via a quick link for ease, if you know, when you're baiting up, if you hook a fish, if you want to use a stick mix. And that's it really. Very few components, very simple, easy to tie, but very effective. Caught a lot of fish on this over the years. I've affectionately called this the FB rig. Bit of a joke amongst myself and a couple of friends really, but there it is, the finished FB rig. Simple, very effective. Next time you're out on the bank, why don't you give it a go?